Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is Big Rig back from the studio, back for some fun with someone you all know so well. But you know him probably growing up as a rock star, the one you always wanted to see, the show you had to be there. And maybe when you were like me, the first time you went, your parents had to take you to see that show. But you always only know the part of the story. You don't really understand the person, the artist. And when I say artist, yes, musical artist, but also artist, creative outlet. He has shown us a lot over the last few years. And unfortunately, due to COVID, it's taken almost 3 years to get some of his newest works to town, but it's finally about to happen. I welcome in Paul Stanley. Paul, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing really well, and it was a long journey getting into your studio because the technology that you choose to use is far beyond me. I have enough trouble, just plugging this thing in, and then anything beyond that is rocket science.
Yeah, I know it is. It's a weird world we're working in. It's a far cry from the days of walking into a radio station, sitting down, somebody saying, "Hey, would you like some coffee?" "No, I'm good," and then reeling into an interview. It's definitely a different world. Now, you're
Yeah,
obviously still at home right now.
I can remember being in a radio station studio, and they were playing a cut from our album, and one of the guys in the band hit the arm of the
The
record player.
turntable.
Yeah, and you just hear, "Ew," you know. So the days of live radio.
Dude, and that's the thing because back then, if you hit a table, you could cause a record to skip. There was so many things that could go wrong, and now it's like unless the place catches on fire, you're pretty much good to go. There's really not much room for error. Even if somebody falls asleep, it'll still fly itself like a plane until it runs out of gas or
Yeah,
music in our case.
autopilot.
Yeah,
But
autopilot. Well,
here
it's
we
great.
are.
It's
Here
great
we,
to have you on, and we're finally glad to have you back. Now, we have two showings which are coming up next weekend. We have the first, which will be on Friday from 7 to 9 at the Shops at the Guitar Hotel, Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino. That's the first. And then you've got Boca the following night. We'll get to that in a few minutes. But the one thing I thought was unique, so while the art is there, while you're there for the 2 hours, are you going to be there the entire 2 hours with people, like talking about your art and everything?
I will be there. Look, there are people who are digging ditches 8 and 10 hours a day. So for me to be in an art gallery 2 hours, I can handle it. But in terms of the turnouts are enormous. Look, I have to say the success that I've had in art goes so far beyond anything I ever could have imagined because I never had any aspirations to show art. But you have so many people coming to see the shows and to see me that I can give a big shout out to people. But the idea of having one-on-one time with the people, I can't do that unless you're taking a piece home with you.
Right.
It's just not realistic. And but I love people coming down. I love seeing everybody there, and I love telling people, hey, you don't need a education to know what you like. Sometimes people show up and are intimidated, and that's really because people whose salary depends on intimidating you, and a lot of times I mean critics,
Yeah.
those people are telling you that you need them to tell you what's good. And the truth is, every opinion is valid because it's yours. So when somebody says to me, I don't know anything about art, but I go, wait a minute, what do you need to know? Good food, you swallow. Bad food, you spit out. You don't need anybody to tell you. And somebody's subjective taste has nothing to do with yours. So the idea of coming down and seeing my art, maybe it'll inspire you to go home and paint.
Well, and that's the thing because, like, for me, when I get to see you like this, right, it's another level of who you are. Like, for me, one of the things, and it was much later for me in life before I really started paying attention to art, just because I was so consumed by my work life and everything else. I didn't do it. When I met my wife, she turned me on to John Lennon's artwork. And we ended up doing our child's room in his whole Beautiful Boy collection. And
Mm,
then I started really paying attention to what artists were doing. And it was like, it's that extension where we get to know you and we understand who you are at a deeper level. And one of those pieces that you shared that I have in my studio that I keep up is your quality time remaining. And it was
yeah.
life without excuses, die without regrets. And that's the thing. And that's what you made your point of, especially with critics, because everybody comes up and starts pointing at you. But you entered it right, which most of us can't do. We're so predetermined when we decide to try something new about what everybody thinks about what we're doing instead of what we really want to do.
And that's what if I can push people in any direction, it's look, there's enough people around who are going to tell you what's impossible. And those are the people who failed. And the idea that you would limit yourself, don't live by other people's expectations or within their boundaries. If you want to paint and then you go, oh, I can't paint, does that mean if you paint a bottle and it doesn't look like a bottle, it's not good? That's living by somebody else's standards. Do what you like, and if you like it, that's what is fulfilling. To not be fulfilled because somebody else tells you don't do something is it's a waste of a life.
Well, it is, because you put so much stress and pressure on yourself because of other people you don't even know. And that's the thing. And that's, it is hard to approach life that way. And it took me a really long time to understand that myself, because I found myself in what I do worrying about what everybody else was saying I was doing, that I wasn't being me. And that was the thing. And that was what was so hard to really grasp. Like, you don't need other people's acceptance. Yeah, sure, it may make life a little hard occasionally when you're trying to get up a ladder, but eventually those who try will succeed. It may just take a little longer than others. Like you said, when you're predisposed, think about what everybody else thinks about you, you've already booby trapped yourself. Especially when somebody goes, why do you even bother? There's no chance you're going to do that. And, people would probably look in this case and go, well, come on, Paul's a rock star. He's got lots of levels that you don't. But that doesn't matter. You didn't set out to do something with this. It was just another outlet, right?
I didn't do it, and I don't do anything with the idea of impressing anybody. I'd be lying if I said that ultimately it doesn't feel good to have other people approve of what I'm doing, but that's not the seed that it's born out of. I think that it's really important for you to not second guess other people and do what pleases you. Everything that I've done over the years was done because I had either a passion for it or a curiosity. And that ultimately will lead other people to the same, to the same conclusion, whether it's seeing my art or seeing me do Phantom of the Opera or reading my book. It's all about being true to myself. And if I'm true to myself, other people will find truth in what I'm putting forward. If I try to second guess them, I don't have any interest in that, because if I fall on my ass, then I only have the regrets. I'd rather, if I'm going to fall, I'd rather do it on my own terms.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. Now, the series that you bring here is the Black Series, which everything begins with black canvas. What's the difference between doing something on a white canvas and a black canvas? That I don't get.
Well, it's interesting because different painters, historically, you use a gesso. You use something behind that you treat your canvas with. Usually it's white. If you're using gold leaf, there's red. In theory and in subtle actuality, the canvas comes through the color. It lightens the color, so to speak, if it's white. I happened to find a roll of black canvas, and I thought, what if I paint on black? And I just found that everything seems to come forward. Everything seems to come from the blackness. And it gives it a depth and a moodiness that I was really fond of. So I did quite a few pieces on black. So I've got those, and you were talking about One Piece Quality Time Remaining. There's 2 of those in different colors. There's a lot of great recent pieces, and I can't tell you how many nights I'll wake up and be thinking, wait a minute, tomorrow I'm going to, and it's just this great journey, so to speak, that I'm on. I really define who I am for myself by the outlets that I pursue and what I get out of them. And every time I find a means of self-expression, I may sound corny, I get to know myself better.
Yeah. One of the things I was going to ask, is you brought that up, when you find yourself feeling creative and things, do you find yourself like in the middle of the night? Because I know at one point I remember Prince talking about how he would feel 2 a.m., wakes up, walks into the studios by himself, sits behind the console, plays, sings into the mic, mixes everything. At 2:00 in the morning out of nowhere, he's like, something hits me. I have to put it down. Do you find like in the middle of the night, like something begins in your mind about a piece, or either you're working on a piece and something comes to your mind, I've got to do this now, or I'm never going to get it done, or I'm going to forget?
I'm too lazy.
You like sleep more. I get it.
Yeah, I'll sleep on it, but I'll wake up and think about something, and conceptually how I'm going to do something. So yeah, I'm always thinking. I think that more time may go into thinking something through the process than the actual doing. It's always interesting that people equate time and money. So sometimes people say to me about a certain piece, well, how long did that take you? And at this point, I go 70 years. I couldn't have done it any sooner.
Right.
Because what is, in this case, what I can do, you might not be able to do in 10 years or in 100 years, and vice versa. There's things that I'm just not equipped to do. If I had decided to pursue becoming a mathematician, I'd be homeless, because I think at some point each one of us has to do some sort of self-assessment, brutally honest, of what we are capable of and what's out of reach. And if you choose to pursue something that's out of reach, you're an idiot. I mean, as far as I know, we have one time on this earth, and time is precious. It only becomes more precious as time goes on. So I think it's always important to chase something that's realistic. It doesn't have to be realistic for the person next to you, but you have to believe that you can do it. I still remember being in high school, and I certainly don't advocate someone else doing this, but I remember one of my teachers saying to me, why aren't you doing the work? And I said, well, I'm going to be a rock star. And they looked at me. Here's how they looked at me.
Yeah.
And they said, everybody wants to be a rock star. And I said, yeah, but I'm going to be. So you can either delude yourself, which is insanity, or you can give the full court press to what you believe you're capable of doing. And the obstacles, you only see them when you lose sight of where you're going.
Right. And you just have to find a way around those obstacles at the moment. That's the thing. Everybody's path is different. It's never certain. It's never easy. I've never met anyone who got to where they were and went, yeah, that was the easiest thing ever. I never thought that would happen yet.
Well, I can never, when somebody says something, well, if I were you, I would, I go, well,
right.
The conversation's ended, because you've never spent a minute in my shoes. You have no idea what my life is. And I have a lot of friends who talk to me and like to get my take on something, but it's never about here's what I would do, or if I were you. If anything, maybe I can help you figure out what you should do, but it's never by suggestion. I mean, it's insane for anybody to direct somebody else in what they should or shouldn't do.
It's just a different perspective. It's not really so much advice. It's like just looking at it through a different pair of glasses. It's kind of,
hey, from where I'm looking, have you ever thought so-and-so, as opposed to, hey, I think you're a real idiot and you should dump so-and-so.
Yeah, that never ends well. Maybe a friendship ends along with that advice as well. Yeah, that's usually where that's going to go. Now, when people are here at the show, do they have a chance to buy prints, things like that, or is it purely?
Yeah. Look, everybody can't. Everybody's not in the financial bracket to own original pieces of art, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't have art.
Absolutely.
We have what we call giclées, which are high-res scans on canvas, which in many cases are almost indistinguishable from the originals. And that's at a certain level. Then there's what we call mixed media original, which is a giclée, and then I paint on it. So that makes it an original. And then there's the originals. The giclées, look, it beats cutting a picture out of a magazine.
Right.
So I think there's something for everybody.
That's awesome. Now with this, like you said, you're there to converse. And let me give you the 2 days here. We have Friday, we have the shops at the Guitar Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino. That's from 7 to 9 on Friday the 3rd. Then it's at Boca at the Town Center, right there on Glades Road. That'll be from 6 until 8 p.m. Paul will be there for each session of the 2 hours, so you can meet him, converse about the artwork and things like that. I did see too. Somebody mentioned there was an opportunity for a dinner with you as well at one of those. Is that a possibility?
Yeah, actually, the way we try to do it is that the people who are buying some of the larger
Awesome.
originals get to have dinner with me. So we do a dinner after the show with it could be 20 people or so, and I table hop and spend time with everybody, and it's great. It's another opportunity to I guess converse and spend a little time with
Yeah.
people.
Get to know people a little bit better, meet the people that are responsible for you and you them, because it's you motivate in ways that I know you probably see, but a lot of ways you don't. You never know all the people that you touch. But something that you brought up, because you're a foodie guy. Am I wrong? You
Mm,
love food too. Oh,
I
like for me,
do.
like I'm in a truffle phase right now. So that's big for me.
Mm.
Anything with truffles, I'm all down with it. But I love to get in the kitchen. I love to experiment. To me, that's my art, because I really get to do things I want to do, how I want to do them. And I know that you and Gene have Rock and Brews, which are incredible. My question was, how much do you have like influence on the menu there and things like that? Is there a lot of things there that maybe you've discovered or your spin on, that kind of thing?
Um, I test or I taste, words are very similar, everything that's there.
Oh,
And I think the food is really, really great. We have great people coming up with the menu, and I sit on my hands except when I'm eating there. And um, look, the thing about Rock and Brews is I'm certainly at a point in my life where I don't need to put my name on something just to get a buck. So it's got to be something I believe in. And Rock and
yeah.
Brews is great because it serves different purposes for different people. You can bring your kids there during the day. It's kid friendly. Most of them are pet friendly, and the food's great. Um, it's a chance for people during the day, for example, or even in the evening, to have dinner with their kids and not have to be served cardboard pizza by somebody in a giant rat outfit. So and it's a great place to hang out with your friends.
Yeah, it's all the above. Yeah, no, it really, really is, and I think that catches people off guard. The menu sometimes, because you go in, it's different, but it's not it's not too hip for the room. That's the point of the matter. It's just really, really good food. But have you ever done like a cookbook or anything like that?
No, people keep asking me, and at
Because I
some
mean,
point,
I see you working on so much stuff, and I'm like, man, you really should. Because I always love seeing what other people do, and then go, all right, well, that's their interpretation. What if I did this? I like having something to start with, and just seeing everybody's palette.
yeah, I agree. I think look, you have to start somewhere, and I'm fortunate in that I know a bunch of really good chefs. Some of them quite well known, and I'm the first to say I'm a cook and they're chefs.
Yeah.
There's a big difference between them and me. I usually say most of them play guitar about as well as I cook. You know, but yeah, I think cooking is such a great outlet, and to sit and eat a meal that you made and go, boy, if I had this in a restaurant, I'd go
Right,
back.
right. Yeah, no,
That's
I
that's so
100% agree.
cool.
It is. It's just another outlet. It's to me through my heart to my stomach, man. That's how it goes. I love my food. The other thing I was going to ask about too is I'd seen the Ibanez, the broken glass guitars that popped
Mhm.
across my feed recently. That is so cool. When you get, was that like 100%? That's your design, right? That is your baby.
Yeah, and the cracked mirror came about in 70. The first one was 1970, I think 7.
Wow.
And I had seen, well, I was a big fan of Slade, the band Slade.
Yep.
They did Mama, We're All Crazy Now and Come On, Feel the Noise. And they were terrific. They actually did some shows with us in the early days, and they were massive in England. And one of the things that I was taken with was the lead singer, who was also the rhythm guitar player. So there was an affinity for that connection.
Yep.
He wore a top hat that had round mirrors all around it. And when the spotlights hit it, it just sent these beams out. And I went, it's so simple and so brilliant. And I went, what if we put cracked mirror onto a guitar and
Oh, yeah.
angle
It
them
just
at different
shatters out.
angles?
Yeah.
And it's, I can light people in the back of an arena or a stadium. So it's very cool. The original ones were glass mirror, and the original ones have a little bit of blood underneath because the edges weren't always
Perfect.
too
Yeah.
well perfect. But now we use plexiglass, but the same look, but much
When did you
lighter.
have the guitar first? When was that?
Um, I first met with the people from Ibanez, I believe, in '76
Okay. So,
in Tokyo.
because in my mind, I'm going back going, I'm like, this isn't exactly new. I know this is
Oh
something I've
gosh,
seen before. Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
This guitar, like many other things,
Man.
starts off as something new, and if it stands the test of time, it becomes a classic. So that guitar at this point is almost 50 years old.
Wow. Because in my mind, I'm going back because when the first time when I saw you, I was with my dad. My dad took me in '77, that tour. It was Louisville Gardens in Louisville, Kentucky. And
Mm.
it was just, it's one of those things because at that point, musically, I didn't know who I was. I'm about 7 years old, almost 8, right? But I knew the band well. My friends, we were all huge fans because everybody had older brothers who were like, guys, this is where you got to be. And I'm thinking back in my mind going, this guitar, it can't be anything new. It's something I know I've seen before, but I didn't know where at. It's been a long journey, right? So, man, that is so cool though. But I love the way that you never, ever don't say yes to something, right? You were like, why not? Why not? That seems to me your mantra. Why not?
Sure. Other people say why. I go, why
Why
not?
not?
It's whether it's designing stages or painting or writing books or doing Phantom of the Opera. It's totally about pushing away anybody else's, pushing away the noise, pushing away the noise that comes from the people around you, and then just deciding what I want to do and where I want to go. And as much as is possible for other people, I'd urge them to do the same. But, there are limitations. Certainly, some people have more than others. But when it comes to expressing yourself, for God's sake, be your own advocate. There's enough people around you who are going to try to squash you down. Misery loves company.
Boom. World we live in. Misery loves company. You got that right 100%. Oy. Paul, thank you so much for your time. I know you're real busy. We look forward to seeing you here in South Florida next weekend. Everything you need to know is right below this video, the appearance times, the location times, everything you need to know. And the place when you want to see what Paul's got going on is on Instagram at Paul Stanley Live. You'll routinely see his work of art, his food. He shares his recipes, what he's cooked that night for dinner, whatever the case may be, or maybe he's out for a fine bottle of wine, whatever it is. He's always got something new happening. It's always positive, good vibes, which we need more of in the world today. So thank you, Paul, very, very much. I appreciate
Thanks
it.
so much.
See you soon.
Bye bye.